Today on The Lean Manufacturer, our guest, Xavier Hansen, from the Innovation and IoT team at Thermo Fisher, shares his Ironman Suit analogy and talks about the delicate balance between creativity and security in the pharmaceutical industry, as well as the dual challenge of staying cutting edge while maintaining an unwavering and non-negotiable commitment to security and quality.
My guest today is Xavier Hansen. He's the lead solutions architect for the Innovation and Industrial IoT team at Thermo Fisher. Xavier, welcome to the Lean Manufacturer.
Well, thank you, Wolfie. Glad to be here.
If you could, just tell our viewers and listeners a little bit about Thermo Fisher, the market that you participate in.
Well, we're one of the leading science and innovation providers in the pharmaceutical space and industry. We're a global company serving across all continents and delivering life-saving medicines and medical equipment to our patients with a unconditional commitment to quality for all of our customers and our patients at the end of the supply line.
And you operate in a space that's really on the forefront of innovation. When I think about innovation and creativity, and I couple that with unwavering commitment to security and quality, that's a really fine line to be walking in your role.
That's true. We as I said, our commitment to quality and to security is unconditional, right? We work in an industry where every product that we deliver aims to make a life-saving difference, for many of our customers and patients. At the same time, it is critical for an enterprise like Thermo Fisher to constantly be in the forefront of innovation, because the needs, as we saw during the recent pandemic or recent supply chain challenges, we must continuously seek to improve our operations so that we can meet all of the needs of our patients and of our clients and of the healthcare market in general. So we are challenged with that role, which is to create what we term human-centered, purpose-fit, value-creating digital transformation throughout our enterprise.
That's a mouthful. Maybe you could break that down for me in smaller words.
We sure can, right? So, we human-centered, right? Very important. As we're bringing about digital transformation, and there's a lot of those conversations that have emerged out of the Industry 4.0 movement. And here we have all of these different technologies are rising, and we're seeing this in terms of robotics, in terms of artificial intelligence, in terms of immersive technologies, in terms of 3D printing. We need to be able to understand that what lies at the center of all of those technologies, what enables them, is connected intelligence. And connected intelligence right now is really it's shaping up to prove out that the most sophisticated technology in the universe that we're aware of to this day is still the human brain, right? Now, that human brain, aided by artificial intelligence and empowered by it, is rendered vastly more productive. All of us have a real opportunity now to start delivering on a much higher level and starting to focus primarily our thinking on high order tasks, while we can get a lot of the repetitive tasks managed by this emerging technology solutions that we have. So we want to strongly anchor our colleagues and having that human-centered approach to the solutions that we build. Whatever we build, and we can take a lot of very valuable lessons from the consumer space there, which are really important for the enterprise world to pay attention to. From certainly Steve Jobs, Apple always made very clear, it has to be intuitive, it has to be immediately graspable, and it has to really flow effortlessly with the activities of the clients, customers, users, whoever they're going to be. So that's our human-centered piece, right? This is a really important piece, because you will see in some of the conversations that take place with some of the stakeholders in the Industry 4.0 space, where there's this sort of focus on automation in a silo, and this idea that you're just going automate a whole bunch of activities, then you will just have the machines running by themselves, all the way up to some of the more um, sci-fi presentations of dark factories of the future that will just function and operate entirely independently. And whereas none of us can go look into the future, and generally I will say that most science fiction that goes out 10 to 20 years will end up not aging well, because it's very challenging to know what comes exactly in the future. There are many possible ways. We like to focus instead on this idea that if we focus all of the innovation and digital transformation on making everyone more productive, we will achieve the same objective of requiring less intensive labor to produce quality medicines and services. But as we do that, every one of the remaining colleagues is now more productive, more satisfied with their job, and has more interesting work, and makes our company more competitive, right? So that's really an important aspect of, again, that human-centered notion, and the idea that all automation should be thought of in a collaborative manner. That is, all your automated systems should be built to be cooperatively integrated with all of your human teams. This is actually a great principle that Don Norman presents in The Design of Everyday Things, which is a book that I highly recommend to anyone in digital transformation. So once we move from human-centered, we then have to be purpose-fit. That was the second word that I use. And purpose-fit means it's one thing to make the solutions intuitive, but they also have to meet the needs and the functions of every single one of our stakeholders on the production. And so what you have different, again, taking lessons from the consumer space and some of the challenges that we have in the enterprise space. In the consumer space, the user and the buyer are the same person. In the enterprise space, they're not. And very often, the purchaser of large enterprise systems, he or she is not someone who is day-to-day doing and performing all of the functions of the users of that large enterprise system. So one of the things that we've aimed to do with Purpose Fit is to start with a very secure and solid enterprise platform, right? That's where we build our solutions from. We don't need to reinvent the wheel, and we want to make sure that we are providing a very consistent and reliable and secure experience for our colleagues. So that's why we're very happy to work with Rockwell and with PTC and to leverage such great platforms as Kepware, ThingWorx, and PTC DPM, right? On top of that, then our aim was to go to all of our stakeholders and to work with some of our best process engineers and to start understanding on our complex production lines, which are quite challenged in a CDMO environment where we're asked to produce under very challenging conditions sometimes, where we have to many different types of products, many different types of clients, frequently changing schedules, requiring us to be very adaptive, very flexible, and very detail-oriented. We started to understand each job function precisely, and then grasping every opportunity to pull as much data as we could, convert it to contextualized information so that our operators, our maintenance teams, our automation engineers, our continuous improvement groups, our quality staff, our line managers, or line supervisors would each get the right information to the right person in the right context at the right time. And building those purpose-fit solutions are really what makes the difference, and that's why we like to call it the Ironman Suit, right? So when we bring the solutions to all these stakeholders, we are not coming as some form of alien, all-encompassing process like the Star Trek Borg, if we want to stay in that mindset where we're assimilating everyone's going to be the same. Instead, we're taking the time to meet with all of the teams and to really understand what the challenges of their specific role is on our line, and how do we give you this Ironman suit that's going to give you new powers to do your job, right? To give you an ability to literally see into the machine and into the process and into the equipment that you're working with, and to do so with guidance that is always going to be secure, always going to be compliant with all of our federal regulations, of course, and aim to deliver quality. And that's where it brings us to our last piece, which is the value creating, right? Is that we're going to be human-centered, we're going to be purpose-fit, But we really want to focus principally on creating new value, empowering each person not just to get better at their job, but to create new value on it, to enable us to reach more capacity, to produce higher quality and with as much consistency and reliability as possible. And that again brings us back to focusing all our efforts on building something new. So we're not in the business trying to replace or build and reinvent the wheel. We take highly valuable platforms, like I said, Kepware, ThingWorx, PTC DPM. We leverage all of those capabilities and then we build the value top of it, right? And that has been a message that's been very well received, and the results that we have managed to help deliver on our production lines with our digital SME solutions have been very positive.
Well, I love how you invoked that great film from Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man. And I think about Tony Stark, this millionaire madman who's out to save the world. But, as a mere mortal, he's got certain capabilities, but he really turns into a digitally empowered superhero when he puts on this Ironman suit that he's created. But that involves creating the suit and understanding the capabilities of the body that's within that suit, and then bringing all the goodness that comes from that combination. Talk to me a little bit about how, at the outset of creating that innovative, enabling suit, you've talked about building intelligence from the line and really drawing out what human beings in the factories understand and know intuitively.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, building intelligence from the line has been key for us, right? We find that on our production lines, and this is true, by the way, across any work process. It's not specific to manufacturing or to pharma, but you're going to find out that in any large enterprise, you have lots of opportunities for intelligence gathering, right? So every time somebody raises their hands and see, I have a problem or I don't know what to do, that's actually a piece of information. It's a piece of data. And unfortunately, a lot of that gets lost right now, right? You will have lots of processes where there's lots of conversations taking place, but you don't always record what started the conversation or how the resolution took place. Then you're going to have some of your more experienced and skilled staff that's actually are there not just raising their hand asking questions, but they're helping to solve problems, right? And again, you will be, we're coming out of an era when we're looking at Industry 2.0 and Industry 3.0, where a whole lot of that became what was known as tribal knowledge, right? You would have your SMEs, your experts, and those experts would really be essential to the success of your production, and it would be a real significant issue if you were to lose one of them for any reason, that they moved on or they retired and so forth. We also find what we like to call the super catalysts, is that among those, you will find some of the process engineering mindsets who meet with all of these other problem solvers, and they have a career track where you can start seeing that they're collecting all of this information. They're starting to really themselves collect all of the tribal knowledge, and they start not just thinking about being repositories of knowledge, but they start thinking about how can we re-engineer our processes. These are real innovators and creators, and we make it our business as a team to identify such stakeholders and to work with them and to bring some of them directly onto our teams to start really building those most advanced systems from all of that intelligence that has been collected on the line. That's why the name of manufacturing real-time analytics solution, that is digital SME, right? The idea is we have taken the best SME brains and their tribal knowledge, and we have very intentionally put all of this intelligence along with all of the industry expertise and the technology expertise from our partners into one comprehensive solution, and design, again, very much purpose fit and intuitive for colleagues.
So you're taking the big brains, you're taking the tribal knowledge, you're coupling that up with individuals who have just an instinctive drive to make things better. And now you're consolidating all of that into a virtual wearable that mere mortals can put on and enable them to do their jobs more effectively, sooner, faster, with less downtime. Am I catching the plot?
That's exactly right. I mean, again, wearable is here used as an analogy, right? We're really delivering a solution that is, the key element of the solution, right, is that we are capturing any and all imaginable data from the equipment, right? So we have many PLCs, sensors, right, from which we can gather an enormous quantity of data points. The key is to understand which of those are actually critical information, right? High value information for each of the stakeholders for the specific tasks. And that was what required that intelligence from the line and the best processing engineering from our SMEs to say, of these millions of data tags, which we're really talking about millions of them, these are the ones that are going to be critical to be able to contextualize whatever alarm is ringing and to be proactively preventing issues before they even happen and or address them in maximally efficient ways. And the lines, what you start seeing is we build this network of digital champions, as we like to call it, right? And we build them across sites, and we try to get teams to start communicating more and more. And in a large organization like Thermo Fisher, we can leverage so much value and intelligence from our various production centers, whether they are in Asia, in Europe, or North or Latin America or Africa, wherever it is that we are delivering goods and producing those life-saving drugs. We can gather all those champions, getting to communicate, getting to build these nucleus at the sites that help to drive the digital transformation. And what you'll see then is that you're starting to implement a cultural change, right? If you're on experiencing on a line frequent downtime and frequent issues where no one knows how to answer it unless you call your best automation engineer in the site to look at it, it's actually a very disempowering experience, right? And so, having worked with a lot of these teams, we're finding a great spirit, and this is very much in line with our CEO Mark Casper, who's a big promoter of innovation and has been a big promoter of making AI accessible to all of the colleagues in Thermo Fisher, so that there's really this idea of empowering everyone to get better at their job and to have more opportunity to solve problems as opposed to just waiting for others to solve problems. We're seeing that culture change taking place. So we're not just working with those digital champions, they are driving and bringing everybody else along. And soon, we sometimes get very happy surprises, right? Where somebody was quiet and not saying much for the first 6 months that we were just comes up with all kinds of interesting ideas, right? And he or she may all of a sudden find themselves in the right place at the right time to really raise the level of their contribution. We want to make that as ubiquitous as possible across your company.
It's amazing how through the course of these conversations with leaders like you, we come to the conversation as technologists, but we really are cultural change agents. And what you're talking about here is creating a culture of teamwork, of innovation, where everybody feels empowered, and that allows you to pick up the pace. You've talked about this being your year of acceleration. How does that culture empower the acceleration that you're seeking?
Well, the year of acceleration is upon us all, right? I mean, we're all clear that the significant advances in machine learning and generative AI are going to be transformative. That's when we can actually talk about another very important aspect, which is that of the second order effects, right? We're going to start seeing not just acceleration in capabilities brought by AI, but in the rapid acceleration of software production that we're going to start seeing all over the place, and how that's going to start changing a lot of value proposition thinking when you're deciding, am I building software for this or not? Something that, a couple of years ago would have taken 9 months and cost requires substantial budget could be done possibly 9 weeks, or in some cases in 9 days, right? So we're really talking about acceleration there as well in robotics. You got to look at 3D printing. You got to look at all kinds of technologies that could impact. So this acceleration is upon us. Going back to the question of the future that we were talking about, right? There are many possible futures, right? Or which way the technology, which one is going to have to break through first? Right? Suppose we have a generative AI breakthrough in drug manufacturing, as we're seeing, for example, with AlphaFold 3 that's just come out, some really impressive capabilities. But we could have an unexpected breakthrough in quantum computing or in cold fusion, right? And all of those things would have a huge impact and bring us to a different future. So we need to be directional. That's the second word that we use for this year. By directional, we mean we can't stay in place. The acceleration here, we have to move, but we have to remain at all times ready to pivot. And we have to train ourselves to be able to pivot and take advantage of different opportunities and different ways to accelerate. And that, again, goes back to focusing on creating new value, right? Whatever has already been built, whatever is already valuable, let's leverage those great platforms. Let's build new value on top of it, and let's make sure that that top layer of skill sets that we build on top of the enterprise layer, and that it is maximally adaptive, flexible, resilient, robust, right? So that whichever way the acceleration takes us, we are preparing our people, right? Because that goes back to that whole idea that when we think culture change is somehow different than technology, that's only true if we, again, don't recognize that the human brain is the highest form of technology that there is, right? And I'm not trying to say that in a nerdy way to try to somehow disconnect us from all the great things that the humans do outside of technology, be it from art to fine cuisine. Like all of that is part of the creative potential and creative power of human beings. And we really have to look at all of this technology as enabling us to do more, right? Just as has been done throughout history. What is happening now is that it is accelerating. And so the one big piece that we do have to keep in mind, because of the type of industry that we are, is that at all times, we can never jeopardize security or quality, right? So we will be absolutely unconditional in that commitment. We are challenged by our leadership to accelerate and to digitally transform, and we are challenged to do so by constantly putting quality first and the needs of our patients first.
And you mentioned this very briefly, the nature of the work that Thermo Fisher does, but you are making life-saving medicines and therapies for third-party organizations, right? You are working in service to a set of diverse customers for whom innovation is their life's work. How do you build that, agility into the muscle structure of the organization? And then how do you measure how agile or brittle the organization is at any point in time? That seems like something everybody aspires to: agility, flexibility, but how do you measure it? How do you prove it? And how do you charge for it when you convey that on as value to your customer?
Well, there's a few questions there that would be outside of my remit to answer, right? So there are others that you could interview who would be much better placed to talk to you about the global strategy of the company when it comes to the competitive pricing strategies and the way that we want to deliver those life-saving drugs to our patients in a way that they actually make the most difference, right? I will say that where we are big believers in baseline measuring before we implement anything, right? We arrive somewhere, we want to understand exactly what is the process today, where is the value created today under the existing process, and then we want to be able to very accurately measure when we input new solutions and be able to tie any improvement in productivity or in reduction of losses to specific actions. Now, you have complex environments, right? And there will always be a range that you need to accept where, well, the value might have come from this solution, from this process change, right? We need to be always open-minded about the different ways that value is created. But we are very, very intent on being able to measure the value that we create. And that, again, goes back to having built a clear understanding of what every role and every function is in our production process, right? So we can actually really identify the specific tasks and capabilities that have been transformed by the different solutions and relate them, if to talk about some more concrete, like, do we have less time loss? Do we have more on standard changeovers between products? Now, to your question about all of the partners and customers that we serve, one of the the opportunities that we have as a global CDMO is that we are actually being challenged to produce every type of drug, to produce every type of vaccine, to produce so in being extremely adaptable. Whenever there is we need to be able to meet the demand that can change from one moment to another from the entire pharma market. And so that gives us two edges. One is that we have more diversified and larger quantities of highly valuable data that we can leverage to for insights as a global CDMO. And we also have a built-in culture by default, right? Just an absolutely unavoidable requirement to be adaptable, to be flexible, to be resilient, and to be robust, right? That's just a part of our DNA.
So Xavier, we've talked a lot about the technologies that you're creating, the culture of innovation and security quality that Thermo Fisher has created as your secret sauce. I also understand that you had some special sauce in Italy, as you had a chance in the past couple of weeks to spend time with your colleagues in Italy as well as in the UK, getting to know the people and helping them embrace what you're building. Tell me a little bit about your trip. What were the highs, the lows, the most exciting parts?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, right, we are one important part of our model is to build a network of digital champions, is to identify in each of the job functions who has the drive and the skill and the natural disposition to embrace empowering technology. And we're also, we've been asked by our leadership to build in pharma services an artificial intelligence hub, specifically generative AI hub. So we were bringing generative AI capabilities and hands-on training sessions, and getting really an opportunity to watch that creativity take place firsthand, where you provide new capabilities to everyone present, and you watch what it is that they're going to do with it. As we discussed, the taking the time to build the trust and the relationship, and to really understand what the challenges are. We will take the time with our colleagues all the way on down to the night shift maintenance team, right? Take the time to meet with everyone, and take the time to listen to their challenges, but also to their, out-of-the-box solutions and to their aspirations, right? And to really see how can we as a digital transformation program help deliver for them the capabilities with which they can create new value and perform in a more productive way, so that we can grow everyone's skill set, everyone's talent, and the company as a whole, right? While delivering that quality for our patients. So it's really an aspect of being purpose fit and human centered, not just in the technology, but in the way that we build our teams and in the way that we build our projects, right? And it's a wonderful thing to get to do in different countries, where we get to learn about everyone's customs. We get to enjoy the culture and the cuisine, and we also really get to see the different approaches that each of those sites has built to problems. And so being able, again, to gather all that intelligence is very valuable.
Well, you've talked about your ambitions being human-centered, purpose-fit, value-creating. I think I would also add inspiring and bond-creating. You're bridging cultures, and you're creating a common culture across many countries. Let me just ask you this, I'll leave you the last word. When you dream about what AI will bring to you as a practitioner and to those you serve, what does the future look like 5 years out?
I love the idea. I mean, look, 5 years out, the future is going to be, there are many possible futures. And so the first thing that I would say is that we certainly need to prepare ourselves. The third big guideline that we have for this year is anti-fragility, which means to be anti-fragile, right? This is a concept that comes from the very insightful author Nassim Taleb, who wrote The Black Swan and Anti-Fragile, a number of really illuminating works on risk management, retail risk management, and One of the importance of anti-fragile is that you don't, when things change and when potential disruptions occur, and without a doubt, AI will bring about disruptions, you don't just want to be flexible and resilient or robust. That's the minimum. But you actually want to grow from disruption. You want challenge to actually make you more fit, right? Which is a lot of the ways that the human body works. When we exercise, we become stronger, right? So the right being prepared for disruption is really key. What I hope that AI can do is to really, and this is what we love about, our leadership and our CEO, Mark Casper's decision to really make an intentional investment, a deliberate policy of bringing AI to everyone in the company with our Gene AI platform. And that is, it will democratize the ability to create and to create value, right? It is what we love to say, and I just had a mention on that on LinkedIn, right, is that you do not need to know any engineering in order to use generative AI, which is why it's unfortunate they call it prompt engineering, where you just write questions. There's no engineering needed. Anyone can go and interact with generative AI. And at the pace at which this technology is developing and the specific new kind of technology that it is built on these extremely sophisticated neural nets, is that emerging properties are being discovered every day, which means anyone, and we take this message, it's almost evangelism, as every one of our colleagues at Sites is, every single person here can discover something new with this technology. You can discover a new creative use case. You can discover a new way to leverage the capabilities of generative AI to create new value. That, to me, is the most exciting prospect for the next 5 years, right? Is to really bring digital transformation as a general opportunity for everyone in the company, and not just the property of small digital transformation teams that are, as we do, we're still very engaged with everyone, but it's still, you're still are remaining within a relatively narrow circle of engineering folk, where what we really want to do is to unleash that creativity from everyone. And as always, you will hear me say it, with our unconditional commitment to security and quality. Like that, we will never fail to deliver.
Well, Xavier, on behalf of our viewers and our listeners, I want to thank you very much for inspiring me and those who are listening to us with your vision for the future. It's clear that you come from a mindset of boldness and abundance, optimism, and democratization of technologies. I can't wait to see what the future has to hold for Thermo Fisher, and thank you for joining us today.
It was a pleasure, Wolfie. Glad to speak with you today, and we look forward to a productive and a long collaboration with our partner PTC in the future.
Thank you for listening to The Lean Manufacturer. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on your favorite streaming platform, and please leave a rating or a review. Be sure to check out other episodes to hear new perspectives on improving life for manufacturers in areas like operational efficiency, quality, sustainability, lean strategies, and the connected worker. If you have a topic of interest, a question, or want to provide feedback, email us at theleanmanufacturer@ptc.com or visit us at ptc.com/theleanmanufacturer.